Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. We're just warming up before we start with the live read of S. Pearl Sharp's Black Women for Beginners. Starting a little bit early, 5 minutes in till 9 o'clock, and I am so looking forward to seeing everybody today. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be great. You know, it was so deep thinking of doing this session for you, the viewers, and people who have been following me on Facebook, because these 3 months have been unbelievable. So many people I haven't seen, a lot of faces I haven't seen, a lot of friends I haven't seen, and everybody's been in their own little quadrants doing what they can do and just trying to make it through this pandemic and, of course, the social unrest. So just taking the time to say hello, regroup. I haven't done Facebook Live. Hey, I haven't done Facebook Live before, so this is dope. This is dope. I'm looking forward to seeing who comes by, who stops by. And like I said, I'm just opening up a little bit early so that I can let folks get a chance to come on in, checking our time. So I can give you a little rundown of how things started. During the pandemic, it was a very quiet, very reflective time for me. And I'm in Brooklyn, so it was me and my family, me and my son here in the apartment. And as a creative, I was kind of looking forward to a lot of time to do some creative projects I was interested in being involved in. And of course, being glued to the computer to watch and see just what was going on and how things were developing. As time went on and the social unrest began, in May, going into June, with just the back-to-back experiences of just horrifying racial violence. It was time. Hey, how you doing, Margaret? Good to see you. It was fantastic. It was fantastic to see the outpouring of support by people all across the globe who were finally home and who could finally see what was going on with, racial unrest. And as the conversations were going on, hey, how you doing? I'm glad you can hear me. Excellent. Hey, Margaret. I wanted to bring something to the conversation. I thought it would be wise to bring something to the conversation, to participate in the conversation in some kind of conscious way. But you have to listen to a conversation first before you can participate. So I spent the past 2 to 3 months just listening. Watching a lot of Instagram Live, listening to a lot of the protests, listening to various talks, Zoom conversations, that kind of thing, to see how I could participate and what I'd want to share. Especially after everyone had gone through so much during the pandemic portion of this cycle, right? So I thought the way that I could do it would be by bringing a little bit of history to the table, and maybe we could all get on the same page, right? Some of the problem that happened after the social unrest in the beginning of June was that not everybody was on the same page. Some people were very surprised. A lot of folks were tired of explaining to people why you shouldn't be surprised, and everyone was surprised about the level of history they had not received. Right? Especially when you're talking about white supremacy, especially when you're talking about institutionalized racism here in the United States. And so I thought that I would kind of take us through some of the history by reading and by just doing a deep dive on some topics. But how to do that, right? Now, I have an extensive library, but you don't want to start with bullwhip days, the slave stories. That's not the way to go. That's not it, right? And you don't want to go the collected works of W.B. Du Bois. That's heavy. And there's no pictures and there's no comedy. So how to bring the topic of history to a wider audience and do it in a way that's That's wonderful. That's like a love song to the people that are my friends on Facebook and Instagram. So I found a book in my library that was exquisite called Black Women for Beginners, of all things. And it's an exploration using artwork and lyrical writing to just bring out a whole bunch of issues and a whole bunch of topics to the table in a way that's light, in a way that's conversational, in a way that we can all enjoy. So, it's 2020. And considering it's 2020, it's kind, right, to contact whoever, any person's piece of art that you're going to share online. That's the kind thing to do. And so I searched, I did a little research, found out about the author whose name is S. Pearl Sharp. She is with us. She's living a thriving life in California, contacted her via email, and began to develop this beautiful relationship with this wonderful actor, writer, poet, film producer, documentary producer, on her work that she had done 37 years ago. Spoke to her about what I'd like to do, and she said, yeah, why not? So here we are today. That was in the end of June, and it took a few weeks to kind of work out the paperwork and stuff. She contacted a publisher. They said fine, and so we are here today to take on the journey of understanding a little bit more, all of us, about Black women. So I'll give you an overview of how it's going to work. Over the next 7 weeks, I'm going to do a brief reading of a portion of Black Women for Beginners every Friday night at 9 o'clock here on Facebook Live. I'm going to start with a quick introduction, right, and share what's what, after which there'll be a 30-second break while I set up the equipment. And then it will be a live reading, but as if you are reading a book like you used to, with pages, and you get to see the pictures, and you get to hear the story, and you will be reading it just as well as I am. So I hope you enjoy the process. I hope you enjoy the experience. And first off, let me give you some information that's to be shared that S. Pearl wanted me to share with you. First of all, know that Black Women for Beginners is used with permission of the author and publishers. S. Pearl Sharp creates cultural art for eye, ear, and heart as poet, playwright, storyteller, filmmaker, essayist, and artivist with a mission to illuminate and instigate. S. Pearl Sharp creates cultural art for eye, ear, and heart. What she loves most is collaborating with other artists and has produced 4 collections of poetry with art, 2 poetry with jazz CDs, an audio collection of short stories, and a dozen documentary and experimental films. Her essays and commentaries have been heard on NPR and other radio outlets. S. Pearl is inspired by the news, ancestral whispers, and dark chocolate. You can contact her at www.spearlsharp.com or her YouTube channel, which is a Sharp Show channel. For Black Women for Beginners, a book I'm reading to you, she collaborated with Los Angeles-based artist Beverly Hawkins Hall. They created the 3 characters who are going to lead us through the book. Sister Eve, the first known diva. Mojenho Doro, she's your Aunt Viola from our ancient existence. And choir member, you know who she is, always holding her note. Black Women for Beginners was first published 37 years ago. It's the 58th title in the popular For Beginners series of documentary comic books. The series was created by the late Glenn Thompson, who was one of a few African-American mainstream publishers. He also owned Harlem River Press, which published S. Pearl's 4th poetry book, Typing in the Dark, and reissued her 3rd collection, Soft Song. And now, without further ado, stay tuned. Stay right there. I'm going to sign off of Facebook Live and come right back with a live reading of Black Women for Beginners. See you soon.